yeah. Oh man, I totally forgot about that movie. I'm gonna do this for the 4th for sure. Wait, what day is today? Oh, yeah, I got plenty of time. Glad I got that figured out. Spit on that thing. Classic. Why do I feel like I'm forgetting something today? Well, shit. Hey, what's up, guys? Future Keith here. I was just going to put this in to explain a little bit that obviously this is not coming out on or near the 4th of July. Like I said, I have a little trouble keeping up with that stuff. But we also had a pretty bad storm come through here, and this happened. When it did, it took out our power line and our internet line, so I didn't have power for 6 days. Didn't have internet for 20 days because, well, Cox is Cox. But yeah, so, I was already behind before that, but that definitely didn't help. So anyways, just wanted to put that out there. All right, let's get into it. America, fuck yeah. What's up, guys? Happy 4th of July. Or I'm guessing, knowing myself, this is probably coming out after 4th of July, so hopefully it was good for you. As I've said in the past, I have a bit of an issue with time management, so I was really trying to get this out on the 4th, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to miss it. So either way, today's movie is... What the hell is today's movie? What is it? Oh, yeah, okay, Uncle Sam. Yeah, sorry. A little spacing out there. Uncle Sam is one of those movies that you saw in the video store and you were just like, nah, I don't think so. It's not worth my money. But we're going to look at it today because, why not? I didn't have to pay anything for it. Well, if you're ready to get patriotic, let's get into Uncle Sam. By the way, did you guys know that they're still making this? Wait, can you see that? For Loco. You might not be able to read that. Yeah, like I totally thought these were discontinued and I saw it in the store and I was like, let's get turned. It doesn't taste great, but it does get the job done. That's probably why it's still around. We open up here where a military chopper has been downed by friendly fire.
It's a crime we did this. Friendly fire?
Get to the chopper! I couldn't help myself. Hey, try saying chopper without thinking of Schwarzenegger. I dare you. You can't do it.
This is stupid. It's impossible.
Anyways, I think this guy is Nick Nolte's brother.
Did you find anybody from the crew? See if you can ID anybody by their tags.
Or has a serious case of throat cancer.
That's the voice of someone who has smoked a fuckload of cigarettes.
So we're told that the bodies are burned beyond recognition, but notice how it's only the soldiers who are burned? Like, that's one strange fire, right? Like, you would think the whole helicopter would be burned, but I guess not, Anyways, the guy up front is...
Master Sergeant Sam Harper.
And he's not fully dead yet, so he kills these two. And I think maybe their souls are supposed to be going into him, or... I actually don't have any idea what's going on here. I mean, I guess they could maybe just be showing the death. Yeah, that's actually probably it. They're probably just trying to show the death. But there is something weird. I do think there is something extra. But they might just be showing the death.
Don't be afraid. It's only friendly fire.
Anyways, the credits are actually pretty great, I mean, we get a whole bunch of old 4th of July clips. It's actually cool to watch. Then we switch to this house, and we see that we're days away from the 4th. By the way, this military-loving kid is Jody, and he's played by Christopher Ogden. He played young Steve-O in SLC Punk. That soldier in the beginning is his Uncle Sam. And I actually think that it's a great move to have there be an actual Uncle Sam. I don't know. It's pretty simple, but I like it. Anyways, he breaks a picture frame and does his best John McClane impression. And if any of you don't get that reference, you probably shouldn't be here, because of the shame you feel for not knowing Die Hard. Yeah, you should probably go. Then it appears some voodoo happens before he goes to his mom, Sally, played by Leslie Neal. She was in Honey, I Blew Up the Kids. And she's about to win Mother of the Year.
Oh, go get some antiseptic and a Band-Aid. You'll be alright.
So that looks like a pretty good gouge, and she's just gonna throw a Band-Aid on it? Jody tells her that he was dreaming of being at a parade with his uncle, who he says was always nice to him.
Honey, you were so young when he went away. You hardly remember him at all.
And then he asks her if she likes Uncle Sam.
Of course I did. He was my brother.
Jody hobbles out on his own, and we see something's bothering Sally. Then we meet Sam's wife, Louise, played by Anne Tremco. She was in 19 episodes of Saved by the Bell, The College Years. And this guy who isn't her husband is Deputy Phil Burke. Deputy Phil Burke, who's played by Matthew Flint. And they've gotten quite close since Uncle Sam has been away. When Louise heads inside, she gets stopped by Sergeant Twining, played by none other than Bo Hopkins. So he's been in a lot of stuff, including Mutant. Oh, what's that? You want to know more about Mutant? Well, you're in luck because I already reviewed that one. So you go ahead and check it out somewhere here. Yeah. Anywho, it turns out that Uncle Sam has been MIA for the last 3 years. The sergeant says he'll stick around to help with the funeral since Sam already has a grave plot with his parents.
He's entitled to be buried with full military honors, Mrs. Harper. He was a hero.
Then we meet Sergeant Jed Crowley, played by Isaac Hayes. Chances are you know him from 3 things. He was the Duke in Escape from New York. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, you should. You should be ashamed as well. My mouth might not be working today. He was the voice of Chef on South Park. And he did the theme song from the movie Shaft. That's a damn great song. And it really looks like he's going through some shit.
All of you dead, but me. I never made anything out of my life.
I mean, but who amongst us isn't, especially in this day and age? Now it's July 2nd, and it looks like these 3 live together. Louise tells Sally about Uncle Sam. Turns out they didn't have the best marriage.
I thought I'd almost forgotten the way he made me feel. The fear when I knew he was in the house, and
We hear that they are bringing his body back to the house.
maybe I can still tell them not to send the remains back.
Louise doesn't want his body there, but Sally peer pressures her into it.
If you don't do the right thing, people won't stop talking about it.
And Sally's a really good friend, like 100%. You should put other people's opinions of you above your own mental health. That's the only way to go. I mean, he just gets angry, so angry for no reason. And then he gets physical. Yeah, I'm afraid one day he's gonna kill me. I'm thinking about divorcing him, and I really value your opinion, so what do you think?
If you don't do the right thing, people won't stop talking about it.
No, you're right. I don't want people to talk. Can I borrow those crutches you had last year? I'm just trying to plan ahead. Yeah.
Well, your house isn't big enough anyway. We'll bring him here.
Wait, so they don't live together? Then why is this lady showing up at your house in her sleeping clothes? I feel like that's maybe a missed detail. Then we get some foreshadowing.
This is gonna be a 4th of July we'll never forget.
Now, there's a real lack of attention to detail being thrown at us in this scene, and it's not the only time it happens. First of all, this is supposed to be July 2nd, right? And they're in school? I mean, I guess you could argue that they go to school year-round, but this is supposed to be a smallish town, so I really doubt that's the case. Well, maybe they're in summer school, right? I mean, that could be it, but look how many kids are in that classroom. Again, smallish town, so summer school would mean there are a lot of dumb kids in this town, which means this guy is probably a bad teacher.
How'd the guy get killed? He was a gunner in a chopper that got shut down.
So I wasn't in the military, so I could be completely wrong about this, but if he was a gunner, wouldn't he have been in the back of the chopper where the gun is and not in the front seat?
There was a lot of talk that it might have been us that did it.
Also, Jody hasn't heard anyone say anything about friendly fire, so how has there been a lot of talk? The adults don't even know how he died, so how the hell would Jody know? It's a lot to unpack for one scene. Jody offers to show off Uncle Sam's medals, and the teacher gets put in the hot seat.
Were you ever in the army, Mr. Crandall?
No, I can't say that I ever was.
Also, Jody already has his career mapped out.
When I'm grown up, I'm going in the army. Just like Sam did.
Then we see the coffin being delivered and find out it's sealed shut, so Jody can't see Sam. They also really drive home the fact that Jody really idolized his uncle.
He was the only one around here who ever did anything important.
Then the sergeant leaves and we see what shape Sam is in, and he looks worse than before. We also learn about the sergeant's true intentions.
I must be batting .750 with the bereaved. Well, I volunteered for the job.
Then we meet Sally's semi-suitor, who Jody doesn't really care for, and really I don't either.
We beat the government's ears off in court. The judge upheld every one of our tax shelters.
I mean, you're not supposed to like him, but he is a worm.
Nobody likes to pay taxes. We've just figured out legal ways of getting around it.
Turns out he plays Honest Abe in the 4th of July parade. He also thinks he knows what the problem with Jody is.
Maybe he'd show me more respect if you'd show me a little more affection.
Come on, there's a dead body in the house.
And that is actually pretty accurate. I mean, ladies, if you think a corpse in the room is going to stop us from trying to get some loving, we'll say, I mean, especially a corpse that we didn't even know, then you've obviously never dated a man before, because no, it's not. It's basically out of sight, out of mind. I can't see it. Let's get them clothes off. Jody sneaks downstairs and awakens Sam by messing with the coffin, I guess? Which, let's be honest, I mean, that's pretty weak. The next day, July 3rd, is the death get-together, and Jed shows up.
I sure did like hearing your stories about the war.
And I've got a lot to apologize for.
He takes Jody outside to show him his fake leg, and when Jody says he's not sure what branch of the military he wants to join,
You get that idea out of your head right now, boy.
but Jody's not hearing it.
You don't want to get sent back in a box.
Maybe it's better than dying in bed.
Jed also gives a little more background on Uncle Sam.
I took him hunting once, and it scared me. You see, he liked killing.
Jody ends up getting grounded.
Why don't you just shut up?
Later that night, when it rolls over to July 4th, Sam gets awoken again, apparently, by these jackals acting like jackals. And he goes to get his medals back from Jody and gets decorated. He also checks in on Sally. Cut to this chick coming out of the shower in front of the biggest bedroom window ever. Why didn't I grow up next to that house? And this Uncle Sam shows up, but gets spotted and cheeses it. Then hilarity ensues. Until he's tracked by our Uncle Sam, and when he's not paying attention, down he goes. Turns out Sam can still talk.
I hope you got an eyeful.
And it cutting to black on the first kill doesn't bode well for the rest of the movie. I'm just gonna say that right now. Sam heads to the cemetery to dole out some patriotic justice, and this guy wakes up to everyone's worst nightmare. And they show more blood and gore showing his wound than they did with the first kill. You know, I'm just saying. Odd choice. And there's no way they're wanting us to believe that he's gonna be buried alive. For one, he could just crawl up the new dirt. Or maybe you notice that slope on the grave right there? He could literally crawl out. Again, you notice that attention to detail. Either way, one of his prick friends goes back to look for him, but he gets hung out to dry. Yeah? See, no, that's a good one. I don't care what you say, that's a good one. I mean, it works on several levels. We're highbrow here on this channel. I don't know what that was. I'll admit though, I do like this kill scene. You know, that's kind of funny. We cut to the teacher who's stressing out because they're missing a hatchet. And yes, you get exactly what you want here.
Where is that hatchet?
The parade starts and Jody plays the badass and discovers his medals are gone. And is it just me, or is he looking kind of, I don't know, sickly in this, or maybe ghoulish in the scene? I mean, bags under his eye, pale. He does not look well, not at all. Then we meet Madge Cronin. Madge, that's a terrible name. And if Madge is short for something, I mean, how bad was the original name that she landed on Madge? Anywho, playing Madge is PJ Souls. You remember her from Halloween, right?
Totally.
Turns out her son doesn't want to go to the celebration.
That's exactly why we are going. So they can all see what they did to you.
And we get enough info to fill in the blanks on this kid's backstory.
They were all juveniles. No one was going to put them in jail.
Then they pretty much spell it out for us.
I can't believe the Cronins are here. See what happens when you play with fireworks?
So they don't explain if the fireworks somehow put this kid in a wheelchair, but judging by the lack of a ramp at his house, I'm gonna say the fireworks are somehow to blame. I mean, which is ridiculous. So, as far as I know, the only way fireworks could put you in a wheelchair is if they blew off your legs, you know, Lieutenant Dan style. So it turns out that the original script didn't call for this kid to be in a wheelchair at all. It was the director who got the idea from another movie. So I had to do some pretty heavy research on this, but I actually found the inspiration footage for having this kid in a wheelchair. The last living douchebag from the cemetery gets very patriotic.
What's the
And Uncle Sam is there for it. And it's worth mentioning, at one point, Jody reads a letter from Sam talking about anyone who doesn't live the American way, we're gonna kick their butts. Not quite verbatim, but close. So all this like little stuff, it gets to Uncle Sam. And does anyone else notice anything odd here?
Who are you?
I'm here to do what you want me to.
Sam is stroking this kid's face in front of a crowd of adults, and nobody stops him. I bet you he could have put his hand in his bad touch place and nobody would have batted an eye. As usual, I'm not saying he should, but, you know, just like he probably could. Maybe this is why there are so many kids in summer school. Their parents are fucking idiots too.
And in darkness, you can see me better than those with eyes.
Jody sees Uncle Sam by wheelchair before his parents come back. Then we meet their congressman, which is really a small part, but it's a spectacle, to say the least. And he's played by Robert Forster, who I'm sure you've seen in something. I mean, he has 190 credits, but one of my favorite roles of him is from Lone Hero. I tried to find a link to stream that one, but I couldn't, so if you do get the chance to check out that movie, you really should. After Sally's maybe boyfriend slams the national anthem.
It's a lousy song. Francis Scott Key. I mean, what else did he ever write? Not a single other hit.
Jed ends up running into Sam, and Jody and the douchebag join other kids in doing this. So, I mean, is anyone really going to be sad when this kid dies? I know I'm not. He does take quite a tumble before meeting Uncle Sam. And look how far we've come from the first kill where they just went to black. Now we're seeing the severed head and the stump. It's just a real big jump, you know? I don't know what they're thinking here, but it's a big jump. Sam's wife is still worried about him finding out about her and the sheriff, and she's right. So Sammy gets a gun, and when Sally goes to chat with her boyfriend... And also, shout out to this guy eating a banana with a dead body about 5 feet away from him. He's seen some shit in his life. He's just like, oh yeah, he's dead. Yeah, he got shot in the temple. Potassium. And just like so many others before him, the mayor doesn't want to cancel the festivities, so the show goes on. Jody mentions what would help.
If Sam was around, this would never have happened. He would have nailed the killer and broke both his arms.
Then the blondes decide to educate Jody.
Why do you always put him down?
Maybe because he did some very bad things to us.
And really, I mean, they're just trying to help him.
If we don't do something, he's gonna grow up just like Sam.
I am gonna be like him.
You see?
Then they start dropping truth bombs.
He hurt me so badly that I was afraid that one day he might kill me.
We find out Sam was always like this. And then there's this.
Since I was 6 years old. Things I couldn't even tell Mom and Dad. Things I knew were wrong.
Do with that what you will. Back at the party, orders up! So I'll just say, I don't know what caused them to go this route. But they did. They made wheelchair psychic.
Someone's been killed.
How'd you know that?
There are others. Other dead ones too.
I mean, yeah, I'm guessing that is from the fireworks too. Although they don't ever say. But it's a little much for me to make them psychic. You know, they sort of justify it later, but I'm still just not a fan of it. It's too much. Let's be honest, it's too much. When it's time for the fireworks, it gets awesome in here. But again, notice how only the sheriff is trying to help him and everyone else is happily watching. Fucking idiots, man. But it doesn't pay to be a hero, so... It also appears he's only half psychic.
What's going on? What's happening?
Also, why does Madge need to be carried? You know, I know it's to get us to this scene.
I've got to take her to emergency. You do that after your boy gets home. Oh, that's mighty decent of you, Jed.
But it's still dumb. I feel like there could have been a better way. Like, she sees that, she's, oh, my legs don't work. I don't know, it's just not believable. Jed shows up and they tell him about Sam.
We know who did it. You're not going to believe me. My uncle, Sam Harper.
It takes a little convincing, but Jed admits they're right.
That feeling of being surrounded by death, it all came back to me.
So they go to check the casket. Wheelchair goes with them because Madge has to go to the hospital. Again, who knows why. They see Uncle Sam isn't in the casket. Sally shows up and Wheelchair suggests,
I know where I'd go if I was him.
Where?
I'd go get my wife back.
Jed tells her to call the police and the kids sneak off with Jed. So they head over to the other blonde's house and we see that Jody has come around.
Don't worry. Jed'll handle it. He's a real soldier.
While trying to call the state police, we get our first good look at Sam and he's looking rough. I mean, he's looking pretty rough.
You made me into this.
It turns out the blonde is a pretty good shot, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything.
Come on, get out. Jed, get the cannon.
Then Uncle Sam explains why he's back.
You are the reason I'm here.
Again, it doesn't really make sense, because if he was back for Jody, he would have just went to Jody like the first night instead of going on a killing rampage. But again, I don't know. I'm not the director, I'm not the screenwriter. Who knows? There's probably not a reason, but maybe there was. While they are chatting, Jed goes and seals the cannon, and Jody grills Sammy.
And now you're killing Americans?
These are the same people that left me to die in the desert.
And his response doesn't make sense. You know, like, these absolutely are not the same people that left you to die. You were in Iraq. These people were in Twin Rivers. I think it's called Twin Rivers. Like, going to summer school and not noticing their children getting molested. You know, like, these aren't the same people. These are fucking idiots. We see that Wheelchair was just waiting on the sidewalk. So his side of the story is much different than the others. You know, like, if they were older talking about this, he would be like, so I sat on the sidewalk for an hour and a half. It was okay. Jody tricks Sam into going outside, and Wheelchair keeps his psychic powers.
They're coming now.
So they head outside, and Wheelchair really takes charge of the situation.
You can't fire with Jody there.
He'll get out of the way. Light it.
So obviously this kills Sam, and the movie ends on a happy note. Never mind. I'm rarely right on these things, you know? Jed loads up another shot, and finally Uncle Sam gets taken out. In glorious fashion. And even though Jody changes his mind about being in the military, he still gets that burn pit experience here, and his mom doesn't even try to stop him. You know, but this was the 90s, and it was a different time. We didn't know inhaling plastic fumes was dangerous. We did, but I guess she didn't. Now, I have no idea what the ending is supposed to mean, like, at all. So we'll just move past it. Freedom fun facts? Sure, why not? Just because. I mean, they're still the same as usual, but I'm gonna throw freedom in there to make it a little bit more enticing. Isaac Hayes' resume is way longer than I thought it would be. So I know he did some stuff, but he has 74 acting credits, 13 composer credits, and 345 soundtrack. Let's try that again. 345 soundtrack credits going back to 1965 on Hollywood A Go-Go. That's pretty impressive. According to IMDb, this chick only agreed to do this quick nude scene if she got to keep one of the Uncle Sam masks. I mean, talk about poor negotiating skills, right? So the VHS box art for this was actually kind of cool, you know? It used Lenta Cooler. That's not the way to say it probably at all, but I'll spell it here on the screen. Printing, which is a technology that was used to produce printed images with an illusion of depth, or the ability to change or move as they are viewed from different angles. So So this one was a regular human looking Uncle Sam saying, "I want you," just like the old posters. Then when we viewed it at a different angle, he turned into a ghoul and said, "Dead." I remember actually seeing this at the video store, and it was neat, I put a link in the description of someone showing it off if you want to see what I'm talking about. Did you know that nobody likes those loud ass fireworks that just go boom? So stop lighting them off a week before the 4th, you dick. You know who you are. Should you watch it?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so for as much as I shit on this movie, I actually do like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, this plot has more holes than Swiss cheese, but I do think it's a clever idea. I'm not sure why they started off with the tame kills, if they're going to end up showing a severed head and a smoker, but they did. The acting is decent, and the special effects are actually good once they start using them. I will mention there's definitely a theme of, I don't know, I guess I would say like anti-military maybe, just blindly following orders and such. I don't think it is constantly slapping you in the face, but it is there. I put a link in the description where you can check it out for free. Also make sure to watch my last video of up here. Wait, there we go, up here somewhere. This is harder to do than you'd think. Well, I'm out of here. Have a happy and safe 4th. Unless, of course, I can't get this out till after, which is likely to happen. And in that case, I hope you didn't lose any important fingers.